Okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Janavallabha
Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Ashtadhar Shri Srimati Swami Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Prabhupada. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. So the last one was Dhruva Maharaj leaves home, so now he's returning home. Maitreya Vacha Ta evam utsanabhaya urukrame
Evam Utsannabhaya Urukrame
Kritavanama prayayus trivishtapam Sahasrashir shapi tato gurutmata Madhurvanam pritya didikshayagataha Maitreya Vacha Ta evam utsanabhaya urukrame Kritavanama prayayus trivishtapam Sahasrashirshapi tato gurutmata Madorvanam Vritya Didikshayagataha. Please chant.
Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrashirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha. Maitreya Uvacha Taevamutsan Navaya Urukrame Kritavanama Prayayusti Vishtapam Sahasrasirsha Pitato Gurutmata Madorvanam Vrityatidrikshayagataha.
All right, word by word translation. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha.
The great sage Maitreya continued.
Great sage Maitreya continued.
Te, the demigods.
Demigods.
Evam,
Devam.
thus.
Thus.
Utsana Bhayaha,
Utsanabhayaha.
being freed from all fears.
Free from all fear.
Urukrame,
Urukrame.
unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
To the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
whose actions are uncommon.
Whose actions are uncommon.
Krita Namaha,
Krita Avanamaha.
they offered their obeisances. Prayuhu,
Prayayu.
they returned.
They returned.
Tri Vishtapam,
Vishtapam.
to their respective heavenly planets.
The respect of heavenly planets.
Sahasrashirsha
Sahasrashirsha.
Api. Also, the personality of Godhead known as Sahasrashirsha
Also the Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Sahasrashirsha.
Tataha,
Tataha,
from there.
Aner,
Garutmata,
Gurutmata,
getting up on the back of Garuda.
getting up on the back of Garuda,
Madhovanam,
Madhovanam,
the forest known as Madhuvan.
the forest known as Madhuvan,
Pritya,
Pritya,
servant.
servant,
Tidikshaya,
Vidjaya,
wishing to see him.
wishing to see him,
Kataha, went. Translation. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who is non-different from the Sahasrashirsha incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to Madhuvan forest to see his servant Dhruva. So we're going to have a Garuda here, right above the door soon. You know that? So Garuda's coming here too. Purport. The word Sahasrashirsha refers to the personality of Godhead, known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Although the Lord appeared as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, he has been described here as Sahasrashirsha Vishnu because he is non-different from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Bhagavatamrita, the Sahasrashirsha personality of Godhead who appeared at that time was the incarnation known as Prishnagarbha. He created the planet known as Dhruva Loka for the habitation of Dhruva Maharaj. So I'll just read one more. Text 2. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Purport. Because of his mature position in yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj was constantly observing the form of the Personality of Godhead within his heart. But all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality disappeared from his heart, he thought that he had lost him. Dhruva Maharaj was perturbed, but upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he saw the same form of the Lord before him. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is said, Premanjana Chariti Bhakti Vilochanena. A saintly person who has developed love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord's transcendental form of Shamasundar. This Shamasundar form of the Lord within the heart of a devotee is not imaginary. When a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Shamasundar he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. Since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham, are all the same. They are non-different from one another. Om Jnanativadandasya Gananchana Shalakaya Chakshumalitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidvachalam Pangam Langate Gadim Yakripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurundaditadanam Vancha Kapuribishcha Kripa Sindhabevacha Paditanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just read the 2 verses again. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who is non-different from the Sahasrashirsha incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvan forest to see his servant, Dhruva. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. So, Vishnu, or he has appeared before Dhruva Maharaj after Dhruva Maharaj's severe penance and austerity in the forest. So severe that we have a hard time imagining what he did, Dhruva Maharaj. Dravida Prabhu was mentioning yesterday that, what was it for the first, maybe you could say again?
Yeah, for the first 6 days, he ate berries and fruits every third day, and then every sixth day, and then he did breathing the third day, and then breathing every 6 days.
Yeah, so it's like first so many days he was just eating fruits and berries, and then he stopped that, and then he was just, maybe he was drinking water for something, he stopped that, and then he was just breathing. and he was, yes, said he was breathing how was he even doing that? But anyways. So these are some severe austerities that Dhruva Maharaj was doing. And from that, engaging in devotional service, he wasn't just engaging in austerities, but he was engaging in austerities and in devotional service. So, just like Hiranyakashipu was also engaging in austerities. You know what he was doing? Yeah, he was standing on his toes, and arms were upraised, and you have these. Zach's thinking about doing that. You have these yogis, in India, the Kumbh Mela, you see them, and they're like this, like their arm is stuck like that, literally, because they're performing the austerity of having their arm like this, right? And then people are worshiping, Jai Maharaj, you put your arm like that, God knows, fame, money, adoration, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to merge into the absolute truth, I don't know. Siddhis, after mystic perfections. So we engage in austerities, and we engage in, if he came into the, anyways, if one of them was here, you'd think, oh, is he raising his hand, give it after the class, So you got a question, buddy? Oh, no, my hand's stuck like this, Gotta be careful joking with him, though. I might, curse you or something. So we engage in austerities and take on difficulties for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of the spiritual master of devotees, and for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. So you could say that's one of our main austerities is to it's austerity to live in this world on one level, but it's also austerity to try to give people Krishna consciousness. Just like in Srila Prabhupada, he stressed that so many times, this idea, because every age, you could say, has its austerities. In Dhruva Maharaj's age, he was doing all types of far-out things that we can't even think of doing. We'd probably fall apart in a few days, have a mental breakdown or something to take us to the hospital. Our minds will snap. Some people's minds snap just trying to follow the 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds. What to speak of doing what Dhruva Maharaj was doing. So, Srila Prabhupada would explain to us many times, over and over and over again, he explains to us that one of the austerities we could do is to preach Krishna consciousness. And in many ways, you could say that what devotees are doing, even though it may not seem like preaching, there actually are propagating Krishna consciousness. For example, living at a farm. Someone may say, oh, well, that's not really preaching. Well, it is, because people will hear about the farm, non-devotees, and they may visit the farm, like Gita New Vrindavan. so many people visiting that farm, and then they see, okay, these are how devotees living, and this is how they're sustaining themselves through the farming and cow protection and all that. So in other words, you may not be going up to somebody out on the street and say, take a book, or going out on Harinam so much, but by your activities, you're showing people a better way of living. So you could say that's like preaching. Or you could say that, like Jagannath Tirtha here, and Elena are scheduled to go to Mayapur, to live there soon. And Jagannath Tirtha got a job there, you could say, helping build the temple, or helping on a particular aspect of the temple, not build the temple, but a certain thing he's good at. He could help. So you could say that that's not, someone may say, oh, well, that's not preaching. Well, it is preaching because so many people will go there, and probably so many people who aren't Krishna conscious will go there and see that. And aside from that, so many devotees will go there. And by the way, devotees also need to be preached to. They need to be reconvinced, over and over and over again. Surrender to Krishna, surrender. Okay, I'm convinced today, and then tomorrow comes. Oh, I'm not feeling so convinced. I need to get preached to again. Okay, I'm convinced. Like it says that you read certain aspects of Krishna book, and it's supposed to help with certain anarthas. I forgot which one it is. Krishna killing certain demons. So one of the demons Krishna kills, it says if you read that, it helps with atheism, getting over atheism. So I was saying some time ago, oh, if you're feeling atheistic one day, you just read that pastime, So we have crisis in faith and so many things. So you need preaching. So and the best you could say preaching is becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. That's how we're able to help many people. So anyways, there's a quote here I'll read from Prabhupada. This is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam in Montreal, July 12th, 1968, 7th Canto, Chapter 9, Text 10. It's about this. The members of the Krishna Consciousness Society, so that means all of us, what is their endeavor? Their only endeavor is how this Krishna consciousness should be spread all over the world. Why they're endeavoring? Because Krishna wants it. Krishna wants it. God wants it. Why God wants it? Because we are all sons, daughters of God. We have, what does it say? We have gone to dog. Instead of going to God, we have gone to dog. So it means people are very attached to their dogs. Now, Prabhupada was saying this in 1968. Now it's really increased. People are really... Now, whatever, devotees sometimes have dogs, and like in Tijuana, have dogs. There's so many devotees have dogs. But, they shouldn't be over-absorbed in their dogs. They should be absorbed in Krishna. Dogs are... So, like Bhajanarayan Swami, he sent out this... oh, my God. I thought it was one of the funniest things I saw in my life. Did you see that? Oh, okay. Is everyone on Bhajanarayan Swami's emailing list? You are? Are you? Okay. Anyway, he sent the other day, but Mukunda sent it to me. Mukunda showed me first. So Mukunda Charan, he may be watching now, but he was at the grocery store picking up something, and then he was in line, and he saw one of the magazines there before he was about to get out of the store. He was at the cash register or whatever. So then he saw this magazine. It had a big picture of a dog of a face there, right? So then it had some little, what do you say, like little phrases, that people could read what's going on in the magazine. So then it said, getting to understand what is really going on in your dog's mind, you know. And then it said, stuff like that. Oh, what are canines really thinking, right? And what was the other one? Do you think you could pull that up? Do you think you could pull it up? Because it's there. Yeah. Because I want to quote it verbatim. So it was sent just the other day. I could find it. Okay. So just one moment. We're almost there. So, Vajranarayan Swami. All right. So this is originally from Mukunda, but he's the one who found the nectar. Okay, so the title of the magazine is Inside Your Dog's Mind. That's the title of the magazine. There's a big picture of a dog, see? See the dog? See the cute little dog there? So, Inside Your Dog's Mind. And then it says, plus, the secret language of dogs. And then it has a little down here, what they really think. And then it says, understand their inner world. And then it says, and then it says, the key to your pup's personality. And then the last one is that why canines, means dogs, are more like us than we realize. Anyways, this is a magazine that's selling all over, probably thousands, millions of copies. So that's what Srila Prabhupada's saying here. And I thought that was really funny, especially the picture and everything. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, we have gone to dog instead of going to God, we have gone to dog. So we're serving dogs or instead of God. And Srila Prabhupada said, people are thinking, oh, I am the master, right? But they're performing so much service. Therefore, God is very anxious to reclaim us. He comes, therefore, in person, Krishna. He sends his son, Prabhupada says, Lord Jesus Christ, or he sends his devotee. He leaves behind him the books like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or many other such, literatures. Why? To reclaim these obstinate, bewildered sons and daughters of God. They have forgotten God, and they are, instead of loving God, they are now loving dog. Therefore God is very anxious. It is natural. If a father is a very rich man and he has got many sons, he wants to see the sons very happy, but if a son goes away from home and becomes crazy, or as they say in New Zealand, mental. Zach told me that. Instead of crazy, they say mental. But does not come back home, the father is more anxious than the son. The son does not understand what is his precarious condition of life in this material world, but God understands how much in miserable condition he's living. Threefold miserable condition of this material existence. He's always disturbed, but still he does not wish to go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore there's a constant endeavor on the part of God to reclaim these conditioned souls. There's just a few more sentences. But the pain is more felt by God than the living creature in this conditioned life. So it is always, there is always endeavor on part of God to send his representative. He comes himself, he gives books. So anyone who takes up this endeavor on behalf of God to reclaim these conditioned souls back to Godhead, back to home, he is considered the most intimate devotee, dear devotee of the Lord. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Na cha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritama. If you want to become very dear to Krishna, or God, then try to take up these missionary activities. What is that? Spread Krishna consciousness. Krishna will be very much pleased. So it's an austerity to spread Krishna consciousness, and but Srila Prabhupada is always encouraging us and urging us to do that. So, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Yada Dekataka Krishna Badesh Amaragat Hoy Guru Tarani Desh, that wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna, and this way become a guru and liberate the land. So, it says that Krishna is feeling pain, and that the devotees, they are meant to serve Krishna, relieve that pain. He's feeling pain for so many conditioned souls suffering in material existence. So somehow or other, this way, that way, we should try to spread Krishna consciousness. So that is our austerity in this age, not like Dhruva Maharaj. And by doing this, we will please Srila Prabhupada, please our spiritual masters, and we will, and therefore will please Krishna, and Krishna will appear to us. We meditate so much on Krishna, Prabhupada will appear to us. We meditate so much on them, right? We serve them, meditate on them, serve them, and then they'll appear before us. Just as Dhruva Maharaj, just like Vishnu appeared to Dhruva Maharaj. He was meditating, and then his meditation broke, and he opened his eyes, and Vishnu was right there with Garuda, on Garuda. He appeared before him. So similarly, by us engaging in austerities in a service mood, the spiritual master Krishna will appear to us. And here it makes a very important point, Srila Prabhupada makes a very important point, that Krishna is absolute. So the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham are all the same. They're non-different from one another. So what makes a dham, what makes a holy place is that one reason is as Krishna appears there. And his devotees are there, and so on. So Srila Prabhupada, he, interesting enough, is he got this idea that he would name his temples, for example, New Dwarka, New Jagannath Puri, Berkeley, Los Angeles, New Vrindavan. So this is actually coming from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You look at Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, and Krishna's in Dwarka, and he's feeling so much separation from Vrindavan, they have to build a replica Vrindavan with Mother Yashoda and gopis, and then it's called Nava Vrindavan, which Nava means new Vrindavan. So Prabhupada knew about these things, and it's a very interesting idea, actually. So we have New Govardhan Dham. So Krishna appeared here, and Giridhari, Radha Giridhari. And for example, you have in Hungary, Shivaram Swami. Shivaram Swami, there's a big farm there, and he has, it's called New Vrajadam. So what he has done is like Srila Prabhupada instructed devotees in New Vrindavan, you should build 7 temples, just like in, they do in original Vrindavan, 7 temples. So Shivaram Swami is doing a similar thing. He builds so many kunds, right, whether it's Shama Kund or Radha Kund, and the architecture looks like it would in Vrindavan, and they have big festivals there. And the whole idea is to enter into the mood of Vrindavan. If you have Shama Kund out there, and also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did that. He, in his Mayapur temple, one of them, he built a big Govardhan hill there. It's smaller than the original one, but it's a Govardhan hill. And then he also built Radha Kund. So you go down, and it's considered to be non-different. So of course we don't have the property here to start building Shama Kund and Radha Kund and all the 7 temples, but we could get into the mood of Vrindavan, and that's what Prabhupada wanted. And factually, Prabhupada would be asked many times, "Oh, have you seen Krishna?" Right? And Prabhupada would say yes. You say different things in different cases, but so I'll just read this short quote where Prabhupada's talking about how anybody could see Krishna 24 hours a day. So, I am the sunshine. Who has not seen the sunshine? So you have to begin seeing God in this way, by remembering Him when you taste water. So when we taste water, we just don't taste water. Oh wow, this is wonderful, but we can remember Krishna. Or we see the sun, just oh wonderful sun, but we say oh, this is Krishna. Or coming from Krishna. When you see the sunshine and so on, such remembrance of God is also seeing Him. Spiritual seeing is not done simply with the eyes. Because Krishna is absolute, you can also see Him by chanting His name or by describing Him. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam, the Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. When you hear of Krishna, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. When you hear of Krishna, you are seeing Krishna. And when you chant about Krishna, you are seeing Krishna. When you are thinking of Krishna, you are seeing Krishna. This is the process for seeing God. If you hear about Krishna, if you chant about Krishna, if you think about Krishna, if you worship Krishna, if you render some service to Krishna, if you offer everything to Krishna, you'll see Krishna always, 24 hours a day. So that's the idea, to get into that mood of seeing Krishna, rather seeing things separate. So, and that requires bhakti mama vijananti, engaging in devotional service, purifying our consciousness, and then we'll be able to see Krishna. And it says, premanjano churita bhakti valochanena, that this devotees who have with the salve of love, smeared it on their eyes, they could see the form of Shyamasundar within their hearts. And actually everywhere. Prabhupada will also give the example, if you have a son, which one of you, two of you, three of you have a son, I know who has sons here. If you have a son, or sons, you have two sons, right? You have two sons, you have one son. If you have sons or daughters, no, but you have daughters, two daughters. So if you have a son or daughter, when you see their shoe, a little shoe, they may be grown up now. A lot of mothers do this. They keep their children's little things for years. So you see their little shoe, whether they're grown up or whether they're still small. You see their little shoe, and you're not thinking, oh well, that's just a shoe. You're thinking, oh, this is my son's shoe, right? So that's what Prabhupada said. He said that when you see something in this world, you see a tree, and you say, oh, this is not just a tree. This is this coming from Krishna, right? Krishna is the artist behind all of it. So that's the idea, to get into that mood. But that requires the mother has affection, the father has affection for the children, so therefore they could see that. Other people, they just, oh, it's just a shoe. Like, I see it, or whatever, somebody else sees it, well, what's the big deal? Somebody else is very sentimental. They may keep that shoe. Or like a piece of, your son's first haircut, right? You still have it in the, what do they call that? The book. What's that? It's like what's that book? It's like a memory book or a baby book, yeah. It's like, growing up, you keep all the pictures and you get a little locket of hair. So people that, or somebody who's not attached to that child, they think, oh, well, it's just a lock of hair, what's the big deal? It's, there's nothing. But for the mother, for the father, oh, this is very important, this lock of hair. Just like Prabhupada, some devotees have actually a piece of Prabhupada's shika, and they keep it in a little necklace around their neck. And for a materialist, who cares? It's just, it doesn't matter. But for them, it's very important. It's worshipful. So if we see the world in that way, we try to see and purify our consciousness, and that there's a sun, there's the stars, there's people, everything's attached to Krishna, ultimately, then that's how we could see Krishna, remember Krishna. So does anyone have any questions? Yes. Or comments?
It was nice what you were saying at the very start of the class, that we need to be like living examples of what are in Prabhupada's books. So there was an email sent out a long time ago. I was trying to find it for quite a while. There was a conversation between Prabhupada and a few disciples. And they were saying, Prabhupada asked them, there's a few disciples gathered around. Prabhupada says, "Oh, what makes devotees?" And then one disciple said, you're distributing your books to them. And then Prabhupada said, he said, "No, actually, few people nowadays actually read my books, We may have sold many copies, but few people read them." And another devotee said something like, I can't remember exactly what it was, like community development, something. And then Prabhupada said, no. And then Prabhupada answered and he said, what makes devotees is when they see that we're living examples of what are in my books. We're living we're practicing what we're preaching, is what he was saying. Do you remember where that conversation was?
No, I heard that in His Holiness Giraj Swami's lecture. That same quote, that's where you heard it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I've never read it or seen it anywhere, but there's a lot of conversations and there's a lot of morning walks and there's a lot of, so
Yeah,
he could have
it's
said it
hard to
anywhere
find.
at any time. It makes sense because in Kali Yuga, one thing, there's many things that are lacking in Kali Yuga, but one thing that's lacking in Kali Yuga is purity. Means a person having purity of consciousness and purity of, just a pure person. Means a person who's not super selfish and you could just in it for all the wrong reasons, right? In it for absolute mundane, horrible reasons. Whether they're, and so many bad qualities and so on. Whether it's the politicians, whether it's the religious leaders, whether it's the teachers, whoever it is, they're lacking in purity. So if somebody comes to the temples or comes to Krishna consciousness on some level, if they see at least some purity, at least purity in intention, because devotees at least have purity in intention, at the least, then that's inspiring, because a lot of people don't even have purity in intention. They're just impure, more or less. Of course, deep down inside, they're all devotees, but so at least we could have purity of intention, just like you could say, they asked Prabhupada, how many pure devotees are there in ISKCON? And then Prabhupada said, how many devotees do we have? And some devotees said, there's about 60. And Prabhupada said, that means there's 60 pure devotees. So now, of course, there's different definitions of pure devotees, but at least you could say pure devotees by intention, right? We're striving for purity. We want to become pure devotees. So that's there. And then what to speak if devotees develop purity, then that's very inspiring to people. That's why this whole idea of the guru principle. The guru principle means that the person has purity through their austerity, through their renunciation, through the determination, through their service to Krishna. They develop purity. And therefore people say, this person has developed some purity or is pure. I want to be connected with this person. I want to take initiation from this person. I want to take guidance from this person. So that's important. We'd be surprised because, the words are very powerful, negatively and positively. So if we just say something to someone, it could actually inspire them quite a lot. Or just like example, I mean, Raja Vadu, she was Prabhupada disciple. She was almost 100. She passed away some time ago, but very pure devotee, very wonderful devotee. So she was in a hospice, getting towards her last days. We actually went there and chanted Hare Krishna, led a kirtan, and then a few days later she passed away. But her caretaker was so inspired by her. She started coming to the temple, visiting the temple, on the basis of Rajavadu's purity, and also so many devotees were coming. The lady was just so inspired by the whole thing. Eventually she kind of stopped coming, you know, but maybe we should go track her down and invite her again. But Rajavadu, to give an example of her, she was so elderly, almost 100, she'd be out here sweeping when all the brahmacharis were sleeping. No, I'm just joking. She'd be out here sweeping the patio because it wasn't getting done, and she thought, okay, well, I'll do it because it needs to be done. And she liked doing it. She wasn't mad about it. She actually enjoyed it. But she was getting so old, she'd be out there for hours, you know, kind of slow, but she would do it. And said she would forget, like, practically everything. Dravida Prabhu and myself, we actually visited her, Rajavadu. We visited Rajavadu in her, before she went to the hospice. She was like in an elderly person's home and a lot of people. It's amazing. We went there, I mean, it was almost like going into an insane asylum, actually. That's what I felt. Like people walking around, just like minds were gone and just speaking all types of crazy. It was kind of scary, but she was there, you know. And she would say, she'd be chanting her rounds, and then she would tell devotees, oh, I've been chanting so long, but I don't know what round I'm on, you know. So it means she'd probably chant 69, but she'd keep on going because she'd forget, you know, like if she completed her rounds or not, because, you know, her memory was going. So I remember we took a walk around the neighborhood. I think we went outside, or no, we didn't go outside. We were just, yeah, we were in the courtyard, and then we were talking with her, and she was forgetting practically everything. And then I remember she said she was forgetting she was in San Diego, and she was forgetting where she was and everything. But she wasn't forgetting Krishna. She was remembering her japa, and she was remembering Prabhupada. And devotees reported that sometimes she would say, oh, do you hear that? Do you hear that? And then there's nothing. It was just nothing was going on, at least to them. Like there was no sound externally. And then they go, no, what is that, Rajavadu? She said, oh, I hear Prabhupada chanting. So it was like there was an internal Srila Prabhupada was there chanting. You know, Prabhupada's famous, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You can imagine it going in your mind. So that's what was happening with her. I mean, it's really nice. We have that experience sometimes. Maybe devotees have that experience sometimes. In Rath Yatra or something, you chant for hours or some big festival, and then you're driving back, or you're whatever, and then it's like in your mind, there's like this kirtan going. It's interesting. So that was happening with her. So, but yeah, so she inspired people, and she's still inspiring people. I still feel inspired by her. So, does anyone have any other comments or questions? Yes. I think this is the last one, yeah. Check one.
Check.
Okay.
Thank you, Balaram. It was
Yeah.
really good. I thought you were talking about the the magazine and the dogs, and I thought it was interesting of some of the titles that you're reading out, especially the getting to know the dog, the inner world of the dog. And it's laughable, but at the same time, it is something that we could utilize, right? About getting to the inner world of each living entity.
Yeah.
And there can be an appreciation still of the love that is exchanged, you know, between any living entity, really, both human and non-human. And of course, I think as bhaktas, we appreciate the love that's being expressed, as Prabhupada often did, and as it's explained in Bhagavad Gita, that one that is coming to these higher platforms of bhakti is sort of more dear to all living entities. So I think sometimes maybe as devotees we can only focus on, or we can look at something like that as maybe we're supposed to be repulsed by dogs or something, but there can also be something that's appreciated. And of course, we can be misguided and just be focused on the material aspect of a dog, but there's something much more profound, and it's the duty, as you were talking about throughout the class, how it is the duty of a Vaishnava to give Krishna and actually enlighten the person in that way, in a more deeper sense. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean the Bhagavad Gita says the learned Brahmin sees with equal vision a dog and a dog eater and a cow and a Brahmin and an elephant, all with the equal vision. So to see the spirit ever. But just the sadness of people giving all of their time and energy and affection to anyone or anything in this world. That's the challenge. They're not seeing it in connection with Krishna. They're seeing it separately. But there's that. There's that short story of Shivananda Sain. He was a devotee, and he would take care of all the devotees. He would arrange for their travel from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri every year to the Rath Yatra. So there was no trains or anything. They would walk. You can imagine big Harinam procession. Everyone was enjoying it. They'd stop off, and he'd arrange everything, the boat rides and places to stay. So as it's recorded in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that a dog happened to join the party. So then Shivananda Sain, he didn't say, hey, get lost. He said, you come with us. So the dog joined the whole Harinam procession. There's probably hundreds of devotees, I don't know, maybe thousands. And Shivananda Sain would take care of the dog very nicely. And he had to pay extra, to have the dog go on the boat and everything. The boatman wanted extra, apparently. And then one day, the dog disappeared. Oh, they didn't feed it. And the dog disappeared. And he sent out this big search party, and everyone was looking for the dog, but they didn't see him. So, he's feeling very sad, and then fasting. Okay, he was fasting. So it was like his son or something. And then he arrived to where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, and while he arrived there, he saw the dog, and Mahaprabhu was there, and Mahaprabhu was eating some coconut, and then he threw it to the dog, and the dog started to eat it. And I don't know if he started to chant that time too. He was chanting Hare Krishna, because the dog was chanting. And then the next day they wondered, where'd the dog go, right? The next day he disappeared. So then it was understood by everybody that the dog went back to Godhead. So yeah, anyways, okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.